When I say the name Isaiah Stewart, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? You can be honest, it's this clip, isn't it? You've seen it on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube. Even people who don't know a single thing about the NBA or basketball might have seen this clip. And now we have another clip to introduce to the Isaiah Stewart highlight package.
Oh my goodness, now Miles and Duran and Beef Stew! This is out of control.
Because in one of the biggest brawls we have seen in recent memory, Isaiah Stewart was there, and this time he was doing the entire world a favor. Because Miles Bridges didn't look as tough when he saw Isaiah Stewart running at him as he did when he saw the mother of his own kids. Yes, I went there. Because anyone who beats women is a loser, and that's exactly what Miles Bridges is. But this is also who Isaiah Stewart is. Because whilst the world will see Isaiah Stewart running off the bench to attack Miles Bridges, what they might not see is why and how this happened. Because with Miles Bridges throwing a punch at Jalen Duren, can you blame Isaiah Stewart for wanting to retaliate? Maybe coming off the bench with a running hook wasn't the right idea, but this is what has made this Pistons team special. In his words, this is why he was drafted.
Yeah, I expected him to stay on the bench. Look, I was drafted in Detroit.
No, it's not because they want to fight everyone, it's because they're going to stick up for each other at all costs. And that's exactly what JB Bickerstaff knows.
You run two guys at one guy and, you've already crossed the line. Human instinct tells him to protect his little brother.
And unfortunately, this is only going to add to the perception of Isaiah Stewart. The perception of him being an angry NBA player who is more interested in fighting than playing basketball. An average role player on a great team. Someone who is only there to be disruptive. Now, I'm not about to tell you Isaiah Stewart doesn't like fighting. That would be a flat-out lie. The guy literally grew up boxing, and you can see the light in his eyes when he has a chance at confrontation. But if you think Isaiah Stewart's only reason for being in the NBA is because he's an enforcer, you don't know a single thing about Isaiah Stewart, and you don't know why he should be in the conversation for this year's Defensive Player of the Year. How is it possible that a guy averaging 24 minutes a night off the bench could be a potential DPOY winner? It's because in those 24 minutes a night, he makes an impact on every single possession, ranking 4th in the NBA in blocks per game, anchoring the second best defense in the league, and he ranks 1st in the entire NBA for rim defensive field goal percentage. Effectively, how often do players score on you at the rim? And when you look at the rest of this list, it makes sense. What doesn't make sense is how much better Isaiah Stewart has been than everyone else in the NBA. And if you aren't interested in the countless stats that paint him as the best or one of the best defenders in the NBA, how about you just watch the film instead? Just like here, where Sissoko gets the screen from Grant, and he thinks he has a clear lane to the rim, what he doesn't realize is Isaiah Stewart is coming, and look at the movement and the timing to meet him at the absolute apex of that dunk. And if you want to see him meet an even bigger player at the apex, watch this time as Lowry gets the pocket pass. And you do not see Lowry Markkanen get blocked like that very often. But you don't see defenders like Isaiah Stewart very often either. Because this is what makes Isaiah Stewart a special defender. At just 6'8", Stu is undersized for a center. It's the reason we've seen him play as a power forward at times. But despite being undersized, despite not being the greatest athlete relative to some of the players we have in the league, he has two things that make him an incredible defender: length and timing. Because despite only being 6'8", he makes up for that with a near 7'5" wingspan, and despite not being a crazy athlete, he might have the best defensive timing in the entire NBA. And we all know the modern NBA requires more than just blocking shots, which Isaiah Stewart does at an elite level. It requires the ability to guard smaller, craftier, shiftier players on the perimeter as well when you get switched onto them. Can Isaiah Stewart do that? that? He absolutely can. Just look at him here against one of the best ISO scorers in the league, Norman Powell. And Powell thinks this is a mismatch as he starts rubbing his hands together before sizing up the three-pointer, and as he's stepping back to his right, look at the extension from Stu to block that three-pointer. And being a versatile defender isn't just about locking up players in isolation. That's cool. That's what's going to show up on the highlight packages, but it's much more important if you can blow up multiple actions on any given possession. Just watch this play where he initially helps over on the McConnell try. He slides his feet to Bradley, Walker pump fakes Duncan, so Stu helps again before just when it looks like he's finally beat, he recovers and blocks Bradley. But he's not done there, as Bradley gets the loose ball and Stu blocks him again. Those are the kind of possessions that make you a defensive player of the year. Not just the emphatic blocks, but guarding 3 different players in one possession and not allowing any of them to even touch the rim. And you're probably watching all of this and thinking, wow, this guy is actually pretty good at basketball. At least I'd hope that's what you're thinking, otherwise I'm doing a pretty bad job. But what makes all of this even more impressive is Isaiah Stewart wasn't always like this. In fact, just 2 years ago when the Pistons were, bad to say the least, this is what a section of Pistons fans was saying about him. Isaiah Stewart is not a big, and the sooner Monty realizes this, the better off we'll be. Beef Stewart the 5 has lost us I don't know how many games going back to last year. His high motor doesn't make up for his lack of height and 15-inch vertical. It's instant layup lines for the other team or offensive rebounds if they miraculously miss. Now, let's not criticize Pistons fans, because I don't think there was a single player on that team outside of Cade who looks like an NBA player whilst being coached by Monty Williams in that cursed season. Even Cade was getting called a bust at times. You can't blame Pistons fans for thinking this, but the progression of someone to go from being considered a layup line on defense to statistically the most impactful rim protector in the entire NBA. I know people only care about points per game when discussing most improved player, but over the last 2 seasons, Isaiah Stewart has made as big a leap as almost anyone in the entire NBA as far as impact goes. Because how often do you see a player go from an average or even a below average defender to one of the 3 or 4 best defenders in the matter of just a season or 2? And not only is he a fighter in the literal sense, but what makes him so great defensively is he will fight on every single possession. Like here where off the missed Robinson 3, he can't quite get to the loose ball, and with KPJ streaking the floor, look at Stu turn and chase him down for the block. Switchability, blocking shots, fighting on every single defensive possession. Isaiah Stewart is just a beast on the defensive end of the floor. And whilst it's defense, which makes him special, he's got a lot more to his offensive game than he gets credit for. And I'm not going to tell you he's the prettiest offensive player ever, but in addition to the 3-point shooting, you can give him the ball in the post and he'll hit you with 1 or 2 dribbles getting into your body before going up with that little baby hook shot that he loves using. And like so many players in the NBA, so much of it is about opportunity and role, which is what Stu talked about after the game. And you know what I love about that quote? It's the awareness. Instead of trying to average an extra few points per game off the bench and be a spark plug as a bench scorer, which he could be, he's focused on doing the most impactful thing for this team, which is bring defense every single night. And when they need the offense in the absence of Jalen Duren and even Cade Cunningham, he's going to up his game there, but he is never, ever going to drop his defensive game, which is what has made him one of the most valuable players on one of the best teams in the NBA. And if you agree with me, subscribe to the channel. It's free. Dropping a like would be cool. Have a great day. Bye.